going.
You know where your metal is?
Getting close. Yeah, she's close to working. I can see my tip down there. She's real hot.
Okay. Go ahead and pull it out if you think so.
I'll go ahead and talk now.
All right.
Then we'll get started. All right. I'll lock the camera down right there, man.
Right now he's upsetting this piece, trying to draw it out. We're trying to make a tomahawk today. Nelson's new at this, and I'm not the greatest. I've been out of it for several years, but he's catching on real fast, real fast. Okay.
Everybody, this is Mark from City Creek Bottoms from another fireside chat. And today I'm down with my friend David and his nephew
Nelson Smith.
There we go. You have to forgive me, it takes me. They got a forge going, and he's building him a tomahawk. So I thought it'd be cool to film that. There's always this channel's about history and other things that deal with homesteading, so here we go. Something pretty easy to learn. Well, I ain't gonna say easy, but something to drive.
Yeah, I laid it in my eye.
So, but we'll come down here today to talk to David about Bigfoot, some experiences. I will say he lives on the west side of Creepy Mountain, so yeah, he's getting to experience the same critters that I've experienced, and we've been together when stuff's happened. And so I'm gonna let him do some talking while they sitting here with the blacksmithing going on, and he can tell you a little about some of the experiences he's had and different things that's went on here in the last few years. And David, why don't you tell everybody how you got started in the world of Bigfoot?
Well, Robert, your cousin, told me, he asked me one time, he said, hey, have you ever heard anything in the woods you couldn't explain or anything? And I was like, well, no, not really. He said, well, you will, living here. And when you do, I've been here 30 years now, and it took several years for that to happen. But anyway, I was getting ready to go in on a night shift, so I've stayed up late one night and trying to, you know, acclimate, getting ready to go to night shift, and because I work rotating swing shift. It was about 2 in the morning, and I stepped out to answer nature's call, me and the dog both, and we heard, it sounded like a tornado siren spooling up, you know. Ooh, it got up, and it lasted about 10 seconds. It reached its peak, and then right at the end of it, it was a whoa, just a roar like a lion, and it never heard nothing like that before in my life. And me and the dog about beat ourselves to death getting back in the house. And next day, I called Robert. I said, Robert, me and you got to talk. And he started telling me, he said, well, what you heard is what we believe to be Bigfoot, Sasquatch. And I said, well, I'm not going to necessarily say I'm a believer, but I'm convinced there's something in the woods up there that made a left turn in Albuquerque, and you know. Right. So he, of course, you know, he told me, he said, you need to talk to me. And so I called you, started talking with you about it, and of course, me and you started hanging out, going up on Creepy Mountain, and you cautioned me, and I got to say, Mark, I was hard-headed. I didn't listen. I did a little bit of baiting here at the house, and I won't say I suffered the consequences, but I had some rather interesting experiences. I put the peanut butter jar up on the hill up there.
Right.
And
I need to show everybody that.
it's up the hill. It's a hike.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I was just trying
Oh, okay, I got you. But they come beat on side the house. They'd run around here in the yard, and in a minute we'll show you.
Yeah.
Me and the dog was coming down the ramp, coming out here to the shop. I'd forgotten to lock up. I got a security light here on the shop, and that some gun came between me and the security light and cast a shadow on us, and me and the dog both run back in the house. It scared us both. I wondered why she wouldn't come to me, because normally she'll come right to me, but she didn't want no part of it. And I couldn't figure out why, but he passed between the house and the shop here, which is not, it's very, very close quarters. And later that same night, I had one beat on the side of the house where my chair is in the living room. A hole in the side. We'll show you that here in a minute too.
Right.
And don't be baiting close to your house. That's not a good thing. And I had a wood pile out here for where we went camping, and it's out here amongst all that junk. But I couldn't keep that wood pile stacked up. I'd stack it up one day, and that night they come in and they knock it over. And just, you know, being that kind of like kids, they come in just be aggravating.
I think it's sometimes you have juveniles and they're tricksters.
Yeah, mischievous, just like a youngin', you know.
I think they just play with you, and I think they want to see reaction.
Exactly.
I think sometimes.
You know, I think the reason why I come up and get on the side of the house that night is because I said, well, you know, because they was tapping and a little hooting and hollering and whatnot. I didn't go outside. Normally I'd go out with a flashlight and shine around and see, you know, kind of see what it was. Well, I didn't do that night. And I mean, that's when he come up, and boy, it sounded like a Mack truck hit the side of the house.
That's what a lot of people think. Is a lot of times when they start hitting on the house or tapping on the windows, they're trying to get your attention. They either come outside or what they're trying to do. I mean, I don't know what they're
curious. They want to know what you're going to do, how you're going to act, and so forth and so on. And my mother-in-law, she had dementia, Alzheimer's, and she saw more than a couple of times. And I caught a glimpse of my first one was right back here where my barbecue grill is. She kept saying, that tree keeps moving, that tree keeps moving. And I didn't really pay her any attention, and then she got adamant, that tree keeps moving. And I went and stood over her shoulder and was looking in the place where she was. And we took about 5 minutes, and something that was cinnamon brown, cinnamon red, about the color of pine straw. Couldn't get a good view of it, but you could tell it was something, and you could tell it was something tall. It turned and walked away. It stood there and watched us over her shoulder. I was smoking a brisket that day, and it turned and walked back up the hill. And it's just been little stuff like that. Kathy has got a buddy, as we like to call him. A lot of people say they smell really bad, and when Kathy's comes around, there's more to this story than there's more to this. When he comes around, you can tell it's just an earthy smell, but it also smells like jasmine. You can smell flowers in there with him, and that tells me and try to, you know, repel. But I can't remember his name right now. Connor, yes, Connor. You know, Kathy explained that in detail with him. He came up within 20 foot, propped up on the tree the day Mama Lynn died, you know, her mother. And she was sitting out there. I had her that I brought down off the mountain up there, and that's where we got. And from out on the road right here, and he propped up on the, you know, like had one arm on the tree, kind of like that right there. And he stood there 5 minutes, and then on up the mountain he walked. And she said she didn't feel threatened. She felt like the feeling she got was it was expressing sympathy for her. And, you know, that's
Right.
Take that for what it is. That was the feeling she got. But we know when he's around, we don't always see him. I've never seen him, you know, full. I've caught glimpses here and there, but I've never actually seen. Kathy has actually laid out.
How big does she?
About 8 foot, and like you said, he's kind of lanky, but you know when he turns a full face, you know he's real broad in the shoulders.
Right, right. I wonder if it's the same one that's been on the club all these years. I wonder if it's the same one, because you know he come up around. There's, you know, one about 8 foot come up around us several times. And,
yeah.
Especially on one outing we had, he stood up on the other side of the truck. And I'm wondering if it's the same one or if it's another one that's took his place. You know, we got one up there we call the Blue Man.
Yeah.
That doesn't have any hair, and you know, I'm gonna say his skin's probably gray, but it probably looks blue from a distance. And you know, we had 2 hunters and Jonathan Odom all have witnessed him on the Deloach Road, or number 9 as we call it.
Yeah.
But so I'm wondering a lot of times if he ain't still around. But
well, it's kind of funny you mention that, because Kathy got the impression that this was an older booger. She said she thought he was kind of, you know, in the early morning, what little bit of light there was, she thought he was old. Said he had some gray in his hair. And of course, being, you know, right there before daylight, you know.
It's hard for me to keep up with him.
Yeah, I know. We talking and looking at the fire when we ought to be looking at the animal.
I tell everybody, my filming ain't perfect.
No.
Because I want it to be realistic.
There you go.
So every now and then I forget to turn the camera.
Yeah. Well, he's drawing that out. He's trying to make his blade. You see, we've already got the hole punched there, and he's going to have a hammerhead on the back of it.
That'd be cool.
Yeah. And this is something we love doing. And Nelson has really shown an interest in it. And, of course, it takes him an hour to drive and get here. And, of course, I had him doing some plumbing work for me this morning, because that's what he works for. Well, I ain't going to say where he works. Okay. If you don't care, I'll tell it. He works for Lochapoka and Waterworks. And this man is a heck of a plumber. He is
going to get my journeyman's in February.
Going to get your journeyman's in February. Okay. Good for you, brother.
Well, I need to remember that, because I need a plumber.
A lot of people need a plumber.
He's
well, I'll tell you, when you call them, nobody calls you back. And I don't know. It's like...
They're swamped. Everybody knows swamped.
Yeah.
So
he's a beekeeper.
Hey.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're already in the same league there.
Yeah.
You keep bees?
Yes, he does.
I don't have none right at the moment. Ours disappeared, so yeah, ours disappeared. So
well, come February, I'm getting some nukes in. If you want to get some, I'll get with you in February and come up and help you set them up again and we'll get them going. So I'll get with David, and so whenever you get, well, I go get nuke packages from a guy in Montgomery. And man, I had a nuke this year. It went from 5 frames. I pulled 6 honey sutures off of it.
Hey, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I had some drawn comb I stacked on top. Man, they filled it up. So they more than double or triple paid for themselves this year.
Hey, that's cool.
Yeah.
I don't know, ours, when we moved over to where we're at, for some reason, they just, I don't know if there wasn't enough food over there, but I've been planting food over there. And we got close to like here.
A lot of hardwoods.
There's a lot of hardwoods and a lot of pine too.
Yeah.
Good
If you got hardwood, that's going to be most of your food source. Probably, and one thing that too, it helps, and eventually I'm wanting to get to where I only bring in genetics if I want to start something up. So I've been breeding and reproducing the same hives I got in the house for going on 4 years now. So I'm wanting to get to a point where I just bring in stuff just to help things, and then genetics I got. So some of these, they'll brood up really good, put up a bunch of honey, but you got to treat them a lot for nights. And then I got some up with one super of honey, but they're tough as nails, and they've been there for 3 years. They're ornery, they're mean, but they're tough as nails. And I don't have to mess with them.
Well, a good strong hive, they last longer.
Yeah, so it's trying to debate the pros and the cons of it. You get some that are really strong, really brewed up good, and you get some that they don't they don't brood up. You'll have some that my one that are tough as fists, they'll brood up and they'll put up 1 honey super, maybe 2, and that's all they'll do. The neighbors, they'll put up 3, 4, 5, 6. But I've had more trouble in the fall and the winter out of the neighbors than I have that one.
Yeah, we'll have to talk some more about that. And, we got a few. We sold a few hives this year. You just take a bullpen drive through.
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah, we call it a purling spike, but
a lot of the old timers call them bullpens.
Bullpens, okay. All right, that's a new one on me. I hadn't, you know, my granddaddy was blacksmith by trade, and I didn't get to learn none of this. I picked it up. Now I've got some of my granddaddy's stuff. That forge blower right there is identical to the one he had and used. And of course it's up, but Nelson's more than likely, when I give this up, Nelson's more than likely going to inherit my stuff, so.
Good.
Yeah, well, you know,
it's going to
a family thing, I'd rather see it go to family.
Right.
So.
Oh, yeah.
And I got a little propane forge at the house. The coal actually works better than it.
Under 100.
So it takes to
propane
do the same
does.
amount of work. It takes me twice as long with the propane.
So.
Well, go ahead and tell some more some of the stuff that's went on. I know
My stepdad, Jonathan, outside the car. I turned my head and I turned it back real quick. It's a lot like they just and come out, and he was down in a stance almost like a football player coming out from behind that tree.
Right.
And I saw him take a step, and he was just poof, he was gone. I had to look back to see where the tractor was going, so I lost him. But yeah, we hear roars pretty right. I think I sent you a message on your last video. I looked for work the other morning. I stepped out and I heard 2 of them roar. One up there on the mountain, and then here in the swamp behind Uncle James's house. And it might have been 2 of them. I can't swear to it, but they both hollered. And I'm not going to say they were female, but they were higher pitched than the big T-Rex roar we normally hear from old Big Boy. And when they cut loose, every coyote and dog in the county started howling. And it was not just like, you know, dogs howl when the ambulance goes up the road every what. It was the most mournful howls I believe I have ever heard a dog make. It was really, it takes a lot for me to get scared. And I won't say I was scared, but I was unnerved. I was like, ooh, I'm glad I'm going to work, you know.
Yeah.
So it was really creepy listening to them howl the way they were. And it wasn't the boogers, it was the way the dogs howled. It was different. It was way under different. I can't explain it. But that was pretty weird. But
well, it's a different world once you get into Bigfoot. It's kind of you just hear different
that was pretty cool. That one that happened the other morning. I'm trying to think of something else that happened. Oh yeah, Kathy went out, and that was when her chicken pen, you see there's not a whole lot left of it, we're tearing it down. When she was moving her chickens, she said it sounded like somebody had took a log truck and knocked it up in neutral and came off down the side of the hill right there. And she said she didn't run. She definitely got her attention and spooked her, but she said she knew better than to get upset and, you know, take off running. She was moving, before daylight, she was moving chickens from the old hen house to the new hen house. And she said it made it right down here to the base of the hill and stopped. And of course, you know, she texted me. I was at work when all that happened. And it's amazing how much it's like when something goes on, I don't want to say they single you out, but they wait till you're by yourself.
They do.
And
I think they like to, I'm going to zoom in a minute.
Yeah, go ahead.
Let everybody see what he's doing there.
Yeah, he's drawing that blade out.
Good, red and hot that time.
Got a good heat on it.
You can tell it's starting to make into something.
Yeah. Of course, a little crooked, but there he goes. He's straightening it out. And the best way to learn how to do this is just, you can read books, you can watch videos. The best way to learn to do is just get out and do it. It's not
somebody that knows what they're doing.
You know, just a little bit. The biggest thing is, you know, like Nelson noted, he said, when you're doing with a coal forge, the biggest thing is fire management. You got to be able to manage your fire.
Yeah.
And this is old plant coal right here. It's not the greatest in the world. It gets hot. It does what you want it to do, but it's messy. It's not great for forge welding because it's got so much sulfur and stuff in it.
Right.
You can forge weld with it, but you really got to know what you're doing. You really need a good, clean fire when you forge weld. And of course, with this coal, what you got to do is get it cooked down, green coal back from it, and you see that's pretty smoky. So there's some green coal in there with it. When the coal is good and hot, and there's no green coal in it, it cokes up good. All the impurities have cooked out, and you get maybe a little bit of haze smoke. And it's a learning process. You learn what works and you learn what don't. And it's trial and error. You can't get aggravated with it. You know, nobody's going to be a superstar the first time. It's just something that my granddaddy did, and I love to. You know, I'm like you, I love old tools and old farm stuff. Yeah. And like I said, my granddaddy, he was blacksmith by trade. Jack of all, master of none. And as old farmers.
All them guys back then,
that's right.
They had to be to survive.
That's right.
You know.
And
I'll tell you one thing, though. It's good to see a young man. Real good to see.
It is. He loves doing this stuff. I love having him down here. Like I said, he's willing to give up his Saturday and drive an hour to come over here and do this.
Well, that's memories that y'all are creating that, I hate to say it this way, but when you're gone, and if he's still living, that'll be a memory.
Yes, exactly.
Have,
me and Uncle Dave got out there in the shop.
Because I know I miss my uncle and all of my people that went on too, and all the stuff they used to do. And you know, I'm glad to see a young man wanting to do something like this.
Yeah. Yeah, it tickles me
Most
too.
of them, all they want to do is play games and ride up and down the road, and it's good to see one wanting to have initiative to learn something.
Yeah.
The more you know, the less you don't.
Well put, brother. Well put. That's right. That's right.
You think you're gonna solve the world, and you find out real quick it just more and more.
It just opens up
more questions.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just opens up more doors. So.
Well, in the same way with learning the Bible, a lot of times you get the deeper it gets, the more questions pop up.
That's right. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And I got to say, Nelson is an awesome man of God. I'm proud of him for that. and I know he's, you know, it's just good that it tickles me to death he's doing towards work. If I got any questions about, you know, scripture matters or scripture, Nelson is one of my go-tos. He's a young man. He is very, very knowledgeable in the Word of God, and he don't take any of that for himself. He gives all that glory to God, which you're supposed to know. That's right.
If it wasn't for him, we wouldn't do nothing.
That's right. You're so right. So
his name even means life if you go look at it in some ways.
And when you get prideful, he'll humble you quick.
Yes,
he will.
Very quickly.
Very quickly. Yes, he will.
He will.
I've experienced that firsthand.
Oh, I don't like it.
Yeah. Mark, if you want, we'll go show the tree where...
Yeah, we'll give him a break a few minutes.
Yeah.
I know he's probably getting tired turning that blower.
Yeah.
Hammer.
Go get on to dinner.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, Mama's getting hungry. She's going...
All right, go ahead, man.
All right, this is what we call the mountain back up to the hunting club, and the day I was on the tractor backing up with the septic tank, he stepped out. Don't know if you make it out, but right up there in amongst them pines, there's a hardwood tree. There's a cluster of them together, and it was pretty cool. It was up the hill just a little bit, but it was pretty cool because there was 3 trees together that made a big spot for him to hide behind. And he stepped out like this, and that's when I said, "Look yonder, Pop, yonder he goes." And I had to look back at the tractor, and I looked back again, and he was gone. And while I got it on my mind, a buddy of mine sent me, and I don't know if Mark will include this on the video, a buddy of mine sent me some footprints. I had asked him several years ago, about the same time I first heard that one holler up on the mountain, if he had seen it. He's an avid hunter, good guy, and of course he kind of laughed it off, and I said, "I guess you think I'm crazy." He said, "Yeah, there ain't no such thing as that." Well, a couple weeks ago he sent me some footprints, some pictures of some footprints, 4 tracks, and you can tell from the prints that the booger was dug in running. The toes are unmistakable, and the dirt pushed up behind the ball of his feet is pretty incredible. There's one really good track. I tried to get permission to go in and cast those tracks. It did well. I won't say I didn't get permission, but I will say there has been too much rain. Those tracks are probably obliterated now. But one of those tracks is, judging by the guy that took the picture of his foot beside the track, it's a 16 or 18 foot track. That's a big boy. Yeah, it's a real big track, boy. What I've seen. And my buddy told me, I'm not going to give his name for obvious reasons, but he told me he was a non-believer. He said, but there's obviously something big running in these woods barefoot. He said, I want to know what it is. So where these tracks were on private land, and it's south of here. Let's say that. Close, but south of here. It's on private land, and their hunting club joins up too. And he told me, he said that after deer season, we'll set up and with recorders or whatever. He's interested, wants to go out, go camping, and see what we can find. You know, and I told him, hey, you might go one time and hit the mother load. I said, you might go 10 times, not hear nothing. But the 11th time, it's going to be wide open. So it's I guess you could call it like gambling. And I really wanted those tracks because in my limited experience, finding one track, that's pretty cool. Finding a set of 2 or more tracks, that's like hitting the lottery. Oh, yeah. And I wanted those tracks bad, but they're, you know, with the rain and all, they're gone. So But
chances of that happening again is probably
pretty slim, yeah. This is also the side of the hill where, like I was telling you earlier, when Kathy was moving her chickens, it started up there and ran down here just to the base of the hill. Y'all excuse all the junk. I am from Coosa County, and we measure a man's wealth by how much crap he can accumulate. So
ain't nobody paying that.
Oh yeah, I know it. But you know, you don't throw it away because you might need it one day.
Right.
But anyway, that's where.
Up with depression.
That's right. They didn't throw away nothing.
Yeah.
I mean nothing, because you might need it one day. But this is the back side of the hill. My property line goes all the way up to the road up there. Sorry, I'm swatting the ladybug.
Yeah,
them some guns are getting right in your eyes. But anyway, this is our little place here. We love it. If you want to now, we'll move. I'll show you the hole in the siding.
All right, I'm on. All right, go ahead and tell about it, Dave.
All right. Well, again, I was fixing to go in on night shift, and when they'd come and peck and knock and holler around the house, used to I'd go out and take a flashlight. Well, this particular night I'd say, well, I ain't gonna do that no more. And they got a little more and a little more advanced in what they were doing, and I guess they got aggravated with me. Right on the other side of this hole is where my recliner sits. They knew where I was sitting in the house. They had to. There ain't no other way in the world. But he come up and hit, and when he did, he knocked pictures off the wall. I've got an old antique buck saw hanging up on the wall in there. He knocked it off the wall, and you can tell how high this is.
That's probably about 8 foot.
Every bit of 8 foot.
Let's see, oh, that's more than 8 foot.
Oh yeah, you think so? Okay.
Yeah, that's more than 8 foot.
But he come up
close to 10.
Knocked snot out of the side of the house. Of course, that really got my attention.
Oh yeah.
I did go outside then, and then there didn't nothing else happen the rest of the night. They were satisfied, I suppose you could say. And
so he came. Well, that was woods then.
Yeah, that was all woods before we put Jonathan's trailer up there. So I mean, it was woods all the way up to that old antique washing machine right there. Right. So there was plenty of cover, and if you want to, we'll walk over where that old swayback tree is now.
I'll turn it off. All right, go ahead, Dave.
All right, this is the tree that old big propped up on. You can see of course, that don't really mean nothing, but at the time, that bare spot right there, that was where he came up, and he kind of put his hand on the tree like this. And prayer rock was right there where the camera's sitting right now. So Kathy was sitting there on the roof, and she was facing yonder way, and he walked up through the woods right there. He came up and propped up right here, and he stayed there 5 minutes ish. Contact with him, and then he went. And she said that was a Connor. She told Connor all about that in detail. So, and this one was an older one because he had a lot of gray in his hair, and I don't know if that was a blue man or not. I don't know. Like I said, she's actually laid out. I mean, how far is this? 20 foot, if that?
Probably.
So she's been that close to him, and didn't get that old dead dog smell. She did all of that. She said he very non-threatening, and she got the impression that it was, I think, would come and Lynn, because me and Kathy both had jobs in, and when Mama Lynn would get out here and in the yard, and I think these creatures are way more intuitive than we give them credit for. Mama Lynn would say she saw it. Of course, Kathy would kind of pass it off, come up in the yard, you know, first one thing, and she never really, we didn't think a whole lot of the truth. And looking back now, might have been looking out for her, you know, in a roundabout kind of way. We've had experiences with one of our dogs. All that right there behind you used to be real thick privet hedge, about 12 foot tall. Dog went missing one day. Mama Lynn let her out by accident. And Kathy left work and came home and went looking for the dog, and the dog was curled up under the privet hedge. The privet hedge had all been just bowed down. It was waist high. And we think the boogers were playing with the dog. The dog was fine. You know, she wasn't scared, no worse for the wear. She wasn't hurt or anything like that. I think she was a little scared, but it wasn't beat down all in one direction, so that ruled out the weather. There hadn't been no bad weather. But 12 foot high privet hedge beat down waist high, and it's all in different directions. You know, that tells me something else done. Now, whether it was the boogers, I don't know. I can't say that for sure. I kind of think it was. Just a guess. I don't know of anything else that would come in here and do that. What else can beat down 12 foot privet hedge? Right. So, but right over there is where Mama Lynn kept saying that tree was moving. And he would have been about right there where that dogwood was. And that's where I saw him, well, caught a glimpse of something, turning around and walking back up the hill. So they're definitely around here. We don't have, since we cleared all this out for Jonathan's place, we don't get as much action as we did. But when we do get something, it's pretty
significant.
Yeah, it's pretty significant. You know, it's plain to see that, you know, it's something, you know.
Well, we know that this area has had a long history of sightings and activity, going back all the way across this mountain to 280, which is what, through there 9 miles.
Yeah.
From here to there, you know, maybe 10. And then you think about all the empty land, like all the hills here going back towards the river, and I mean, just there's a ton of land. Most, because everybody kind of lives right around the roads, you know. There's a few people that live off the roads, but just a big habitat. And I think they've been here for years and years. You know, there's one sighting from years ago, even a photograph. I think I showed it to you one time.
You did? Well, actually, Robert showed it to me.
Okay,
yeah, there was a series of what 10, 12 pictures, I think.
Yeah. So, and you know, that
excuse me.
And you know, was standing beside that pine tree.
Yeah, yeah.
That was, I mean, a very good picture.
Yes, it was very good picture. Looking back, you know, looking at it now, when I first looked at it, I was kind of scratching my head. But if you've ever caught a glimpse of one, it would have been one standing, you know, kind of broadside, because they're skinny. But
it was wild that she was able to catch that. But I mean, she did it with her cell phone, and
not the best picture, but you can tell there's something there.
You can tell something there, and her son-in-law was the one that sent it to me, because at the time I worked with him, and he has them on his property down in Coosa County, down at Mount Olive. So one of these days I'll get him on here too, let him tell all the stuff he's found. And that's the thing, once you get into it, and once people figure out you're serious about it, that you're not joking or just making up
having
stuff,
them on,
they start calling you and talking to you about it. They I guess they feel they can trust you, and they'll start calling and talking, or they'll send word to another person for you to call them. And I mean, it's really opened the world up. In 2007, I never thought I'd be sitting here doing a film on Bigfoot.
Well, I'm glad you are. I'm glad you are.
And I've been knowing you since.
Lord, we kids.
Since at least high school.
At least high school.
And you know, I know you grew up in an area that has some activity down there at Hanover.
Yeah, and that's a whole nother story. You know, me knowing what I know now, some of the stuff I experienced as a kid has kind of got me thinking. And my mother actually reminded me of some things that I hadn't thought about in years. Excuse me. Some stuff had happened from when I was like 3 years old.
Right.
And we'll talk about that,
we'll
another time. Yeah.
Maybe next time get your wife on.
Yeah.
Let her tell her experience with her sitting here praying and then walking up.
She's camera shy, so we're going
to. She got to remember right now, we're talking to that camera.
Exactly. Yeah.
It ain't been prosecuted. It's just on video.
I told her, I said, baby, you've already told. She said, that's just it. I've already talked about it. I don't want to blah, 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 blah. Okay, whatever.
Well, when she feels like it.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's one thing. I never pressure people. I asked, and if they say, well, don't want to do that right now, it's okay. If you get ready, you let me know. Because there's a lot of people that's got the experiences, have seen them. They just don't want nobody else to know they have. I can see why.
Yeah. Well, here's another thing. For all the people that come forward with their experiences, how many people are out there that are afraid to, won't do it? They're afraid, people think I'm crazy. Well, I am crazy, and I'm okay with that. So,
well, I just finally come to the point where I said, I don't care no more.
I don't care. Exactly.
Because I know what I saw. Exactly. I know what I'm experiencing. I've got friends and people that I don't even know experiencing the same thing.
Yes.
So no, we're not crazy. We might be. To me, we're normal.
Yeah.
Because we're experienced.
They're the closed-minded ones. Yeah, they don't.
Actually, we're open-minded.
Yes.
Now I don't worship Bigfoot.
No.
Some people get to the point they start worshiping, and I ain't gonna go with that.
Yeah.
This is about telling people's experiences, my experiences. That way, if somebody does watch this that's having stuff going on, they might know what it is.
Yeah. At least give them some idea.
And they might know how to deal with it. Because I ain't no expert. I'll tell you that right off the bat.
That's right.
Because you hear me say that on the camera.
Oh, yeah. Every time. I'm not either. I'm not. I'm like you. I know what I've seen. I know what I've heard. And I want to know more about it. And now that things are happening in my life, I can get back out in the woods a little more than I used to. And we got us a little old camper now. We go down to the hunters camp down in Hollands a lot of stuff happens down there. Took a buddy of mine with me, and we built a fire. And I woke up and I looked up at the ceiling of the camper, and it's glowing. I said, oh Lord, the fire's done got out. I woke up and I went outside. I was still in my drawers. And I was getting ready to beat a fire out, and there was my buddy. He's sitting there, and he's building the fire up. And I said, what woke you up? You all right? He said, yeah, I'm fine. And he was acting a little, he was looking around. I said, what is it? He said, man, something come up and shook the camper. He said, you slept through it. He said, you wasn't turning over. It wasn't you. I said, okay. I said, I told you. I told you.
It's amazing.
Yeah. They'll come up and rock your camper. And, of course, next morning I got up and I looked. I couldn't find a handprint or nothing on the camper nowhere. So,
one thing I want to ask you real quick.
Okay.
While I'm thinking about it, because I brought this up and I've asked a few other people that's had experiences, and I've had to go back and think in my time too when things went on. Did you notice a vibration, like the ground had a little vibration to it, or the air was something going on? I mean, do you recall anything of that nature? Almost like I'd say like a little, not a earthquake, but maybe what they call them. What's the other name for
tremor?
Tremor. Maybe a little vibration.
If I have, it wasn't significant enough to me for me to notice it at the time.
Okay.
I know something up there at the hunters while I'm here on camera. Me and Richard and Flat Rock, when we went back in the spring up to the hunters camp, we were seeing flashes of light in broad daylight, and it wasn't lightning. Yeah, there was a storm rolling in, but it wasn't heat lightning. It wasn't, nothing like that. You could catch it just out of your peripheral. It was like somebody had a camera flash off to the side and was flashing, and I saw it and Richard saw it, but Flat Rock said, do y'all see that? And I was like, you talking about the flash? He said, yeah. I said, yes, I am seeing it. And it was, of course, it went on for, I don't know, I guess a half hour. And we had to get in the camper because it did blow up a little old rain shower. And as soon as we got in the camper, it took about 5 more minutes, we could see the flashes outside the windows. But there was no definite point of where it was coming from. It was just a flash of light. It was strangest. I've never experienced anything like that in my life. That I have experienced it since then, but maybe because I knew what it was. I won't say I know what it was, but I experienced it before, and I was like, "Hey, this looks familiar," you know, that kind of thing. So that was, like I said, this was that 1, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Like I said, broad daylight when this happened, and that was. I think I told you about it. I know I told Jonathan Odom about it, and you know, John, I was heat lightning, and I said, no, dude, that's not what this was. I know what heat lightning was. Now, what ball lightning is, that's not what this was. So this was ground level. It wasn't up in the atmosphere. You know, I say ground level. You know, best we could tell.
I have been up here on the hunting club, especially over to the lake, and see flashes of light at night, almost like. Who's taking a freaking picture of it?
Yeah.
I have seen that, and I've seen that on the quarry's property, the old Hamilton place, when we were able to hunt down there. Me and Larry, on several different occasions, would see flash of light, and I'd go looking for a game camera. And this is when game cameras just first come out, and I'd go looking for one. And I said, who's taking pictures of us?
Yeah.
I don't know. I have no idea, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, this was never from the sun. This was in different areas, you know, and that's what I guess confused us more.
Right, that's what it kind of was with us. And then you talking about the camper shaking. What I was fixing, I was waiting to see what you was going to say. The 2 different times we've had the outings down there, and I don't know if y'all felt it the night y'all were there, but the March outing, there was a vibration during the night because my friend from Gadsden, Bradney, I think you met him.
Yeah, I met Bradney.
His camper shook. He thought the same thing, a Bigfoot had done come up. But yet I was laying in the tent, and I felt the vibration, and everybody else that next morning talked about it. That same night at that other outing that you were at, there was a vibration during the night again.
Was there? Okay.
A little, and every time I go back and check, the U.S. Geological Survey, or the ones
USGS,
the ones that keep up with earthquakes and all that, there was no mention, no records of anything going on in Clay County, Alabama that day.
Do they have any seismic stuff out around? And I know they do out west, but I'm not sure about
here.
here
In Alabama.
They do.
Up North Alabama, they have good.
Yeah. The only earthquake I've experienced was back in the early '90s, back when the old farmhouse was here, and. Stepdad called me. He said, well, did you feel that? And I had been asleep with my arms like this, and what woke me up was my arms flopping. And
I remember that.
Yeah, and that was a 4.7 up in Fort Payne, knocked some glass lights down out of some buildings, but that's the only ones that I'm aware of. You know, that in the March outing, you know, me and Richard, we left.
Yeah, y'all didn't spend the night.
No, we didn't spend the night. We left about, that's before we had the camper. We left about, I don't know, 12, 1 o'clock at night. So, and
this was probably on in the morning around 2 or 3 when this happened.
Yeah.
And what's weird about it, it was the same time at the fall.
Really? How about that?
And I'm like,
there's something to that. I don't believe in coincidence.
I don't either.
I don't believe in coincidence.
I have felt vibration up here on the hunt club before too. When Bigfoot was around, or I'm gonna say when that. Well, let me not say Bigfoot, because I didn't see him. Something was there with us.
Yeah.
Because either eye shine and we were hearing the footsteps, or you know, so that's something I'm gonna really start watching. And I even want to call some of the people I've took reports from, even though some of it's been almost
years
10
ago.
Years ago. I want to call them and say, you remember a vibration? Or because it might be something that all people that's researching need to start paying attention to.
Yeah.
And what made me think about that was, of course, the 2 times it happened down at Hollins. But I heard someone on one of the other Bigfoot channels giving their sighting and what was going on, and they talked about feeling a vibration, and I'm going, wait a minute. There was a guy, he was on another broadcast, and he had a bad experience with a dog man and Bigfoot at the same time up in LBL, and he's been all over on all these shows, and he seemed like a very truthful man.
Mm-hmm.
So he would happen to be on a show one night, and I just asked him in the live chat, I said, hey, when those things came up and were trying to attack you or stalk you, did you notice anything out of the ordinary besides all that? And he said, yeah. He said, I felt vibrations.
Wow.
So I'm going,
Well, I may dismiss the vibration, not, what's the word, not out of hand, because you know where we live, they blast over the quarry all the time.
Right.
And you feel it before you hear it. You feel it good here. Yeah. So it may be one of those things that I've just kind of tuned out, if you will, and it doesn't. But you know dang well I ain't blasting at night at the quarry.
No.
So, you know, it may be one of those things that I just kind of tune out, if you will. Right. There's a word for it, and I can't think of what it is. It's one of them words that's that long, but.
Well, David, I won't keep you no longer, because I know after a while it gets to the point where you kind of start, I don't know how you say it.
Start hunting for stuff to talk about, yeah.
Well, that, and it just, I don't want to wear you out. I don't want to wear other people out that's going to watch this.
Yeah.
A lot of people's attention span after about 20 minutes gets gone. But I appreciate you being on. And,
anytime, my friend.
We'll get you on again, and hopefully one day maybe she'll fill up to talking about it.
Yeah, I hope she will. It'd be nice.
Because that would be give other people down the road, if they have some kind of experience, it may help them with their experience. Because this is what this is about. It's to help people.
Yeah.
Even though I'm telling my experiences, you're telling yours.
Maybe
people can learn from what we're saying. No, we're not experts, but we've experienced stuff.
Yeah.
So. You know, but I appreciate you being on today. And,
anytime.
I enjoyed
I appreciate
the
you having me.
With your nephew.
Yeah, I'm glad we got that.
That tickled me to see that, because
we got to come Smith with us sometime.
Well,
we'll do a whole video segment on that if you want to, and I'd love to do that
because she wants me to. She does the homesteading. I do the Bigfoot, and she's going, you got to start doing some of the homesteading to help me out. I know I do. So,
yeah, that's right. So.
Because she knows I know a little bit about some of this stuff.
Yeah.
I know a little bit about it, but not a whole lot about it.
Yeah, I know enough to be dangerous. I've got some videos I'll share with you, but we'll talk about that another. But hey, thank you for having me on. God bless everybody. I appreciate you, and I'm
glad you come on. And
like, comment, and share.
There you go. That's it. I love that, because I love the comments. And sometimes people do. They will start commenting, and it's hard for me to answer in a big, because you're on a comment.
Exactly.
That's why I tell everybody, if you really want to talk, and I don't mean that in an ugly way. What I mean is, if you want to go in depth real good, send me an email.
Yeah.
Then mean you can converse back and forth, and then if you want to, we'll even talk on the phone. I don't mind talking to nobody on the phone.
Yeah.
But I know some folks do better through commenting or emailing, but but if somebody wants to talk on the phone, I'll talk on the phone too. I mean, sometimes Rebecca has to come in there. Hey, it's time. She'll be over there. Hey.
Yeah, wrap it up. Yeah. But if you want to share the pictures of those prints, if you want to share it on this video, feel free. I don't see any reason in sitting on them any longer.
Okay.
So
I'll see if we can add them in. And,
okay.
I don't think it'll be a problem. Well, we're gonna get off here, and this is Mark from Cedar Creek Bottoms Fireside Chats with David. And y'all give us a subscribe, a like, comment, hit that notification bell, and share, and especially give me a comment. And David's had some good experiences that a lot of people never get to experience. I mean, this I ain't gonna say it's cool having them come to your house, but I'm gonna
It can be.
It can be.
It can be.
But when they come to your house, I mean, I know a lot of people's had some bad things happen. People's had good things happen. So you just have to take it and go. So far, theirs has been good. I hope it stays that way. I hope it. And I think they learn, people. I think they learn what kind of person you are. You know how you're going to react. I think it has a lot to do how they act. But I mean, but none of us really know. So, well, y'all have a good day, and we'll see y'all later. Bye bye.